Hello students, today we can see the topic cell cycle and cell division. As you all know, all living organisms arise from a single cell, isn't it? Whether it is a unicellular organism or a multicellular organism, all organisms develop from a single cell. How it happens? It is because of the characteristics which is present in the cell, that is growth and reproduction. So growth and reproduction are two characteristics which are found in the cell which helps them to develop into a whole individual. Okay, so the single cell first it grows and then it divides. That is, it reproduce means how it reproduce by cell division. So it divides so that the single cell will become two cell, isn't it? Now these two daughter cells will again grow and again they divide. So it becomes 4 cells. Again they grow, they divide, it becomes 8 cells. Like that, this growth and cell division occurs continuously. As a result, a single cell can be converted into a multicellular organism which has millions or trillions of cells in them. Okay. So, cell division is a very important process in all living organism. Now, what happens during this cell division? During cell division, DNA replication and cell growth will be taking place. What is DNA replication? As you all know, DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. It is present within the nucleus and in the chromosome it is present. A part of the chromosome is DNA, isn't it? Now this DNA replication means doubling of DNA or multiplication of DNA. So if inside a nucleus 6 DNA are there, then during DNA replication, how many DNA will be formed? The 6 becomes 12. That is, it will multiply. The 6 DNA will multiply and it forms 6 more DNAs. Okay. So this replication of DNA is very essential because during cell division, the number of DNA present in one cell should be transferred to the next cell, isn't it? So if the same number has to be transferred to the next cell, the DNA should replicate. Then only the same number of DNA can be transferred to the daughter cells, that is the newly synthesized cells. Okay. So for that, DNA replication occurs as well as cell growth also occurs. Then only the cell can correctly divide into two daughter cells, isn't it? So this cell division, DNA replication and cell growth should take place in a coordinated way. Why it should take place in a coordinated way? To ensure the correct division as well as the distribution of the genomes, that is the genetic material or the DNA, to the daughter cells. Okay. Now what is the cell cycle? Cell cycle means the sequence of events by which a cell duplicates its genome, synthesizes the other constituents of the cell and eventually divides into two daughter cells is termed cell cycle. Okay. So it is not a single event, a sequence of events, a chain of events by which the cell duplicates its genome. As I told, the genome is the genetic material, that is the DNA. So that will be doubled. Duplicates means it will be doubled. Then synthesizes the other constituents of the cell. Whatever other constituents are required, they all will be synthesized, and at last the cell divides into two daughter cells, and this whole process is termed as the cell cycle. Okay. Now this cell growth is a continuous process. Okay, and during this continuous process of cell growth, the DNA synthesis occur only in one particular stage in the cell cycle. Okay, throughout the cell cycle, the DNA synthesis will not take place. DNA synthesis will be occurring only during one specific stage, one particular stage in the cell cycle, that is the S phase of interphase. Okay, next we can see that. So only at that time the DNA synthesis takes place. Okay, and this replicated DNA or the chromosome will be then distributed to the daughter nuclei or to the daughter cell. Okay, during the cell division. And all these events are under the genetic control. That means they are controlled by the genes. Human cells divide once in approximately every 24 hours. That means human cell complete its cell cycle within 24 hours. Okay. The duration of cell cycle can vary from organism to organism, and it also vary from cell type to cell type. Okay, different cells will be having different duration of cell cycle. Same way, different organisms also shows variation in the duration of cell cycle. Okay, for example, if you take yeast, they can complete their cell cycle in about 90 minutes. Yeast is a unicellular fungi which can complete the cell cycle. That is, it can divide once in 90 minutes. Okay. Now, when we see about the phases of the cell cycle, it can be divided into two basic phases. Okay, the cell cycle is divided into two basic phases. What are the interphase and the M phase? M means mitosis, mitotic phase. Okay. The M phase actually represent the phase when the actual cell division or mitosis occur. So actual cell division takes place during M phase, and the interphase, it represents the phase between two successive M phases. Okay. So M phase is the actual phase during which the cell division or the mitotic division occurs, and interphase represents the phase between two successive M phases. Okay. So here in this picture you can see the cell cycle. Here you can see G1, S and G2, they all represent the interphase, and then the M phase you can see it includes prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, which will be followed by the cytokinesis. Okay. Even though the duration of cell cycle of a human cell is approximately 24 hours, the cell division lasts for only about an hour. Okay, the M phase or the cell division takes place only about 1 hour, and the interphase will be lasting for more than 95% of the duration of cell cycle. That means interphase is the period during which the cell prepares for cell division. So it lasts for more than 95% of the duration of cell cycle, and the cell division, that is the M phase or mitotic phase, it takes place for about 1 hour only. Okay. Now we can see about interphase. Interphase is divided into three further phases. What are the G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase? What is G1 phase? It is gap 1 phase. It is the gap between mitosis and initiation of DNA replication. Okay, so G1 phase represent the interval between mitosis and the initiation of DNA replication. Okay. And during G1 phase, what happens? The cell will be metabolically active and it continuously grows, but the DNA will not replicate. Okay. Just before the DNA replication, the gap after mitosis and before the DNA replication is the G1 phase. Okay, so here no DNA replication occurs, only the cell will be metabolically active and it will be continuously growing, and it can also synthesize RNA, carbohydrate, lipids, proteins, etc. Okay. Now next is the S phase. S phase is the synthesis phase. So here, as the name says, we can say DNA synthesis or DNA replication occurs during this phase. Okay, so the main event during S phase is a DNA synthesis or replication of DNA. So here the amount of DNA per cell will be doubling. Okay, but the number of chromosome remains the same. Okay, for example, if 2C is the number of DNA in the S phase, it becomes now 4C. Okay, it will be doubling to 4C. But if 2N is the number of chromosome in the S phase, even after S phase, if you see, it remains the same, it will be 2N only. Okay, so the number of chromosome remains the same, but the number of DNA will be doubling. Okay, then during this phase in animal cells, DNA replication will be taking place inside the nucleus, and at the same time the centrosome will be dividing into two centrioles, or the centriole will be duplicating in the cytoplasm. So centriole duplication occurs in animal cell and it is not there in plant cells. Okay, so this change also takes place during the S phase. Okay, Now what is G2 phase? G2 phase is GAP2 phase, and here what happens? The protein synthesis occurs and cell growth will also be continued, and in addition to this, mitochondria, plastids, etc. will be doubling. So these cell organelles will also double. Okay, so mainly we can say proteins will be synthesized, the cell growth continues. In addition, we can say organelles like mitochondria, plastids, if it is a plant cell, will be getting doubled. Okay, so this is about interphase. This is the diagrammatic representation of cell cycle. So interphase consists of three phases, G1, S and G2 phase, which last for a major duration of the cell cycle, and the M phase, that is the cell division or the mitotic phase, which will be lasting for about an hour. Okay. Next is the M phase. So M phase is actually the mitosis phase, or the cell division takes place during this phase. Okay. M phase starts with the nuclear division and it ends with the division of cytoplasm. So two steps are there in this M phase. What are they? Karyokinesis and cytokinesis. So what is karyokinesis? Karyon means nucleus, kinesis means division. So it means division of nucleus. Okay. So in M phase, first nuclear division will take place, followed by that only the cytoplasmic division occurs. Okay. So after karyokinesis, it will be followed by cytokinesis. What is cytokinesis? So cyto here means, cyton means cell. So here it is the cytoplasm, and kinesis means division. So division of cytoplasm is cytokinesis. Okay. So whenever M phase occurs, mitotic phase occurs, first karyokinesis occurs, that is division of nucleus occurs, followed by that the cytokinesis or the division of cytoplasm will be taking place. Okay. In animal cells, mitotic division is seen in diploid somatic cells only. Somatic means body cells. Okay. Only in diploid body cells, somatic cells, we can see mitotic cell division. Okay. But in plant cells, if you see, both haploid and diploid cells can undergo mitotic division or the M phase. Okay. Now, some of the cells in adult animals will not exhibit cell division. If you take our heart cells, it will not divide, isn't it? There is no need of such division, so it will not be dividing. And some other cells divide only when required. Okay, if there is a need only, they will be dividing. That is, if a replacement of a cell has to be done. Why it should be replaced? If a cell has been injured or cell death has occurred, okay, at that time the cell has to be replaced. So if such a replacement has to be done, only if there is a need, then the cell will be dividing. So what happens to that cell when there is no need of any cell division? So they will enter into an inactive stage, that is called the quiescent stage, or we can say it as G0 phase, okay, of the cell cycle. It is the G0 phase of the cell cycle. Can you follow? So when there is no need of any cell division, the cell will be entering into an inactive stage called the quiescent stage or G0 phase of cell cycle. So what happens during this quiescent stage? Cells will remain metabolically active, but they will never divide. They will never proliferate. Proliferate means multiply, unless called on to do so. That means unless a need arises to divide, they will never divide or they will never proliferate. Okay, and according to the requirement of the organism only, the cell will be dividing. Otherwise, they will be remaining in an inactive stage, and that is said to be as the quiescent stage. Okay.